Alright, here we go. It's going to be test number 5 as far as the video goes. I did, on this one, pretty much what I've done is I've got the same as I had yesterday. I've got the same outer can. I've got the same 2-high pot stand, the one that worked. I finally got this thing to go. Today I've got the new middle can in, or inner can. Sorry, not middle can, but inner can. It's the shorter one. I made it. I did make one design flaw with it that I found out. My thinking, this is one of those where when you're designing stuff, trial and error really comes out. But fortunately, the cans are cheap. But I realized too late that my thinking was I needed to put the holes in the bottom of the can as low as possible because it's a shorter can and it needed to get air from the bottom to help cause some of the combustion and fuel the wood and the combustion inside the can. And in doing so, I got them a little too low apparently, and I was going to try to do this test with the 2-high with the shorter can with some alcohol in it. I don't really plan on using the stove in that manner. My test was merely to see if as a backup, if I could use it, you know, if things get too wet and I needed to use alcohol, you know, maybe I'd carry like a 1-ounce bottle of alcohol with me as a you know, like not as an emergency, I wouldn't say that, but more as just as a backup. And I realized I cut the holes too low, so it's not going to work out for that purpose. I might be able to get half an ounce of alcohol in it the way it is right now, but between a half and 3/4, it's kind of hard to tell. But I tried to pour a full ounce just to see, and most of it poured out onto the ground. So, or not most of it, but some of it. So, needless to say, I didn't test it with the alcohol. I'm just going to go ahead and retest it with the wood. I soaked a little bit of the wood in rubbing alcohol. I did not use heat, just because it was cheaper. I would possibly do that on the trail. I don't know. I would take like a little Ziploc, maybe with a little bit of the wood dampened with either alcohol or maybe even heat. Heat would probably work better for this, but just for testing purposes, I just used 91% rubbing alcohol, and I soaked some of the wood. And this time I put the soaked wood in the bottom and just a few of the chunks on the top of the stove, so just for lighting purposes. And so without further ado, let me unlock my phone here. My trusty dog is overwatching, making sure all safety precautions are being taken. And here we go. I'm going to, as you can see right here, it's 59 degrees water. It's kind of bouncing a little bit between 59 and 60, or at least it was just a second ago. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. That's close enough. Maybe too windy to light. It is windy out here again today. There we go. I'll let it, hopefully it'll go down and catch the bottom. It's like really windy. And windy, it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. You gotta, you know, unfortunately fire is in itself is a lot of trial and error I found over the years. You know, some people I think are naturally good at being able to make wood burn, but you know, I don't know what it is. I occasionally have a problem myself, and I think it's just one of those things, you know. It's just the conditions have to be right, and it does take skill to make fire, whether you realize it or not. I think that's burning. It's not really super. Whoa, let me get this out of the way. Set that on top. I'm going to give a shout out to John Abella at highglider.com. I've heard this many times over the years, but you know, wasn't really thinking about it, and rewatched one of his videos that was completely unrelated, but in it he mentioned you know, putting some Dr. B's or Dr. Bronner's magic soap on the bottom of the pot, and this is just another instance that Dr. Bronner's soap is useful for, other than just soap. And I just really got to get going here. And it is to put soap on the bottom. You'll put like 4 or 5 drops of Dr. Bronner's soap on the bottom of the pot, so that you know, anytime you're using wood, or he was saying Esbit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've used Esbit in the past. Never backpacking really, but in the military I've used Esbit to boil water. As a matter of fact, I did it in Afghanistan. The French MREs come with Esbit. They even come with Esbit stoves, and you know, I was using that along with my Snow Peak 600 cup to boil water for tea or coffee while I was over there. So I mean, I do have a little bit of experience with it. You know, just like wood, the downside I see is it just really gums up the pot. And it's like I said, Esbit is probably better than wood because you know, it's quick. So it's like I said, when I'm out on the trail, I'm a hiker. I like to hike. I mean, I know a lot of people are campers, and that's fine. There's, you know, these kinds of things are cool to play with. And if you're a camper and you want to go out and just, you know, you're more interested in setting these type of stuff up and doing that, there's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But me personally, I'm a hiker, so I like economy of motion. I like to, you know, hike throughout the day, pretty much all day long, and you know, see things, take pictures. You know, not necessarily hiking fast, although I do sometimes hike fast, but more to see and do. And then the camping, I love camping, I love equipment, but it's kind of secondary once I'm out there. It's really cool back home to play with all this stuff and do this. And anybody that's remotely interested, I'm telling you, I am not that mechanically inclined, but this stuff to me is even fun to tinker with. You know, I'm not a person that likes to do a lot of projects, but this intrigues me, so it's fun. So if this is something you think you might be interested in, it's a cool thing to try and play with, and try to figure out, you know, how to get this to work the most efficiently that you can. And oh, my temperature gauge went powered off here. Okay, it looks like we're at 111. That's a good sign. I can still hear it. But yeah, it's just a cool little thing to tinker with, even if I don't take it with me. But for me, it's all about economy of motion while I'm out there. So Esbit would work. I just don't like the mess or the smell of Esbit, which I know, you know, most people don't, but they tolerate it if they use Esbit, and that's cool. If that's what gets you out there, you know, there's nothing wrong with it other than that. You know, but I just don't like the mess, more or less, is the reason I don't take Esbit. But alcohol to me is ideal. You know, using heat, it's clean, it's efficient, it'll boil fairly quick times. You know, the downside is you got to carry the alcohol, and any liquid's heavy. So, but it just depends on how long your trip is and how much you're carrying. I sometimes I still have my Soto stove, 01 DR stove, and you know, I still use it. It's a canister stove. The stove itself weighs 2.5 ounces. The downside of that is a 4-ounce can of fuel weighs, you know, 7 ounces full. And you know, the fuel is kind of substantial, but you know, a lot of the alcohol, you know, that that 4 ounces in that stove will take me over around a week. I normally only boil in the evening 1 meal, and that'll easily last me a week. And I do make tea sometimes, so sometimes I boil twice, whether I do that in the afternoon or the morning or the night. With the meal, I still boil twice usually when I do that, so that is using it twice occasionally, but it'll usually last me a little, that can last me a little over a week. Whereas alcohol, I'm looking at, most of the time it takes me probably 3/4 of an ounce or an ounce a day to heat my meal. And if I did that twice, it would double in that day. But you can see that adds up pretty quick. So right now we're at 5 minutes and 12 seconds, 149 degrees, still burning, doing a good job. I want to say the yesterday's, I don't really remember, and I want to say it's like 9 minutes and 53 seconds, I think, so right at 10 minutes to boil 2 cups. One of the things I did want to point out too, though, is that this is a non-stick pot, which is designed to cook, not necessarily boil water. It's a little bit thicker because of that, because thinner pots have a tendency to burn quicker, burn your food and stuff quicker. Obviously if you're cooking a liquid, anytime you have liquid in it, it's not going to burn the pot or the stuff in it unless you totally overcook it. But I'm saying if you're actually cooking in this, it's actually beneficial sometimes to have a thicker pot. This one has a non-stick coating so that no matter what you're putting in there, whether it's like a thick soup or whatever it is that you're making, it doesn't stick to the pot. It's a little easier to clean. So I may have better results boiling water. I can almost bet you that I'd have better results boiling water if this was just the ultralight pot. But since I hadn't used this one very much, I just wanted to put it on a stove and get it going. So I used this one the first time, and since I did that, I kind of wanted these other tests to be the same, so that they would, the results would be the same. Now, like I said, if I used another pot, I might find this is more efficient than what I think. I don't know if it'd be greatly more, but one of the things I do is once I get this, once I get another boil out of this thing, if it's relatively close to the one I had yesterday, I will then try a thinner pot and see see how that goes. I will say this, I put this in the video in the comments from yesterday's, that my pot seriously smelled like mesquite yesterday, which I love the smell of burning wood. I love it. It's awesome. It's one of the reasons I like to go camping, even though I often don't even have a fire camping. The downside of that is you don't want any of your cookware or anything to stink like that. I don't know if that would cause a problem with bears. I tend to disagree. I know I've heard people say it does. I tend to disagree with that. I think fire does not attract any animal in the wild. But I mean, I could be wrong. I wouldn't want to bet my life on that. But I just I would think that they'd be naturally leery of fire and not curious of it, and that's what the pot would smell like. But obviously, if you were picking up sticks in the wood, it wouldn't be quite the the smell that's on this. Like I said, that was one of the other reasons that prompted me to put that Dr. Bronner soap on the bottom of the pan to help clean this off when we're done. It really wasn't that bad. I scrubbed it off with a Brillo pad and put it in the dishwasher, and that smell came right off. We're getting up there. It's 195, and we're at 9 minutes, so it's looking like it's probably going to hit about the same time. want to say it was 953 is what the other one was. You can look at the video. I put it on the video. This one may go a little longer actually. It definitely burned long after that. Again, once I get this going, I'm using I tried to use mainly the same materials each time on the test so that I didn't skew the test, so I'd have a rough idea of what was going wrong. Then the other thing I'm going to do is, obviously I've already said I'm going to use a thinner pot, just a regular titanium pot, see what kind of boil time I get there. And also yeah, we're already over 10 minutes. And then the other thing is I need to also use like sticks that I find locally. It's still a little damp around here. Once it dries out, I'll collect just some really thin sticks from around here, from my yard, probably one of my trees, and just see how it does with that. Here it goes. We're at 10:34, so it's a little over a minute longer. So it's looking like the shorter can didn't affect it. Yeah, there we go. 10:43 is what I got. It was a full minute longer today to boil the water. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's definitely boiling, as you can see. And so it looks like at least the stove is boiling now. I was expecting a little bit quicker burn time since the materials were up a little higher, but you know, looking at it now, it probably doesn't matter the length of the can, because I'm stacking the materials up to the top anyway. So as the materials burn down, the longer can would just probably cause it to burn longer. Out in the field, one of the things I can think of would be the short can may be a little more beneficial, because you wouldn't have to find as much material to burn. So that might be beneficial. I'm not sure. I'm gonna let this continue to go and see how long it takes before it burns out. But as you can see, even if it was a larger pot with more water, I mean, what I'm seeing today is it's at least it's burning much better. So that may have had to do with me putting the alcohol soaked wood at the bottom this time instead of on the top necessarily, totally on the top. That was just better thinking on my part, better foresight on my part for today, lessons learned from yesterday. So that may be something that, like in the field, you might have to do is if you take whether you take alcohol soaked wood or whether you take lint or whatever, is put some on bottom and on top. When I say lint, I mean like dryer lint, anything that would be flammable. You could use tampons. You could use a tampon, just put most of the tampon in the bottom and then maybe a little bit on top to get it going. But again, today is another lesson learned. It's more things to try. Two things I know of right now are the thinner pot and the regular sticks from local little cooking sticks, I would call them. None that are larger than my pinky, broken up and putting in the pot, down in the pot. I just think I'd probably get, as far as testing goes, I'd get a more uniformed boil out of using like the store-bought, like little chunks, because it's all the same type of wood. It's all mesquite wood, that type of stuff. I just don't think my testing would be as uniformed using yeah, it's still going. Look at that. I don't think it'd be as uniformed if I was using just sticks I picked up, because I may be picking up cedar or different types of wood that'll burn differently. Now obviously, before I use this thing, I'm gonna need to try that, because those are the things I need to know is what are the left and right limits of this burning or this boiling. The downside of this type of stove is it's very hard to add wood. I would actually have to remove the pot and add the wood from the top. There's no side holes or anything like that. But as far as availability of the cans, I mean, you can buy them at any grocery store, any supermarket. It'd be harder to fabricate this on the trail because the top holes I added with a hole punch. That's easy to do. The bottom holes of the outer can are easy enough to do because they, you remove the bottom of the can. You'd need some type of can opener or something to press that bottom piece out. But and you could do those with a hole punch if you had to. The hard part would be the inner can, the holes on the bottom. That'd be hard to fabricate in the field or in a trail town or something like that. It may be able to be done. You might be able to do it with a stick or something. Not because the holes in the aluminum. The aluminum's pretty thin material. It's so thin that when I was trying to drill it, you could see it's not real uniform because the drill actually tears. You have to have a really sharp drill bit because the drill actually tears the aluminum as it goes to try to cut into it because the aluminum is so soft. But again, I think this was successful. It was 10:53 boil time. Yesterday's was 9:53, so I don't think it was a big difference between the sizes of the cans. The advantage I see, I'm going to leave this shorter can in this because the advantage I see is the shorter can doesn't need as much material in it for you to collect as much material. And obviously, as you can see, it's still, probably a third of the way, maybe a third gone in materials. So, if it's that efficient, because this will be burning for a while, you wouldn't want to put all that material in there because then you'd have burnt material that you now have to dispose of very carefully so that you don't cause any kind of forest fire. It'd have to cool quite a bit before you could dispose of it. Now you could pour water on it, but you'd have to make sure that it was completely cool to the touch before you dispersed it anywhere. And that's another thing about wood fires. Never walk away and leave them. Personally, I've never had a problem. I've always just done that, but I've seen people walk away with coal still going and saying it'd be fine, just let it go for the night, and things flare up in the middle of the night. I mean, fire is an amazing thing, and the funny part about fire is when you want it, it's hard to get because you're trying to make it, and it seems like it's just never going to start. But if you ever get it started and then you don't want it, it's a funny thing because then it flares up for whatever reason easily. So it's one of those things that if you do make a fire in the backwoods or anywhere, make sure that you have the means to be able to put it out, and also that it needs to be cool to the touch before you leave it unattended because you never know. Like, you want to go to bed and it's got coals and you think everything's going to be okay, and you go to bed and the wind picks up, and the next thing you know, you look out there and you got a raging fire out there. I mean, it's amazing. So be very careful with that. Anyway, I think I'm done yapping here. We got some things to test for next time, and overall, I'm kind of happy with this. 10 minutes 53 seconds is a long time to boil, but at the same time, for the advantage of the fuel, the cost of the fuel, which is free, and being able to carry this without any extra additional weight. It did drop with a shorter can. I think I said this before, but it did drop. I think it was a point of an ounce. I'll check that and put that in the comments of the video, but I want to say the weight before was like 2.8 ounces, and the weight with this inner can is 2.7 ounces right now. So I'm not sure if it lost. It may have even gained because the can did look a little thicker. But at this one now, it weighs 2.7 ounces, and which is kind of heavy compared to my Mini Bull Designs Elite alcohol stove that's like 0.3 ounces. But where this would be advantageous is especially for longer trips. For weight, and then even shorter trips for cost of fuel. So anyway, I'm done rambling. I've already said that before, but I'm done. So if anybody's got any questions, just comment and I'll try to get to them. Also, I've got a new Facebook page. It's Cool Breeze, and on it I'm just going to talk nothing but backpacking. So anybody that's interested in that, check out my my new Facebook page, Cool Breeze. It's in the community section. It's a community page, so check it out. If you like it, put like on it, and I'd appreciate it. Anyway, see you guys next time.